Welcome, everyone. And again, congratulations for two new borough council members.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So this one is basically, this meeting is truly more of an update meeting, but first, of course, we have to approve the minutes from the last meeting. Did everyone have an opportunity to look at them? Were there any changes that you would like to make?
Saw them, everything looked good to me.
Okay, so would anyone like to
To approve the minutes,
please second? All right, the meeting minutes are approved, and that was the only action item that we have for this meeting. The other thing is the update on leadership changes. I'm sure all of you saw the Facebook post, and many of you who are more integral to the workings of the borough know that Ken is no longer with us. So I thought we should just take a moment because he works closely, particularly with Michael and Jean on the RFP and the scope of services. If you could help give some information about how you think, or if you think this might impact. And I know that Dennis, you had a conversation, you said with someone.
With Michael and Cindy on Sunday, and they said business as usual. It shouldn't affect our timeline.
Okay,
I wasn't sure if it was going to affect our timeline.
Well, they seemed optimistic,
Okay,
or at least those are Cindy's words, so I'm just.
Okay. Well, I can provide an update.
that would be really helpful. And all at least from my perspective, all I'm interested in is its impact on this
Right.
project and how it moves forward.
Right, so, right now, we have Matt West as the interim borough manager. We appointed him last week. However, he's focused on the budget right now, so, we want to take off some of the pressure on staff at this time and keep it only essential items, like budget and trash and all those other things going on. So I have agreed to kind of take the lead on kind of make sure things are continue to move forward with DCNR. We scheduled a meeting, so myself, Rebecca, and Michael will be meeting with Olivia Braun tomorrow at 1 p.m. For an update meeting. I have also submitted the scope of work and the RFP to DCNR for review, so they do have that. So I don't have any update right now from DCNR because we haven't heard anything, but we should know more tomorrow.
So do you know, at some point Ken was going to share at least like the scope of services with them. I don't know, have they had any, other than what you sent them, they've gotten no?
No.
Okay, all right, so tomorrow will be the starting point in terms of them giving the okay or coming back to us with changes that they think are necessary to move it forward. And then after that, it will go to the full borough council for its final approval once.
So there are some other documentation that is still needed.
Okay.
Let me see what it was. There's the certificate of title for each of the project sites. And I've already talked to our solicitor about that, and that shouldn't be an issue. And then we have to also have an updated project timeline and an updated detailed budget. And also something called a PNDI review receipt. And we'll talk to, I'm actually not sure exactly what that is and if that's absolutely required. So we'll talk to Olivia about that tomorrow.
Okay.
But so there's still a few other items. And as for the timeline and the budget, that is something that we're going to need staff input on. So that's where I'm not sure as to if there's going to be a delay on that as we work out the details of that.
And as long as we're within, again, pulling this out, perhaps nowhere. DCNR provided us funding, and there's a timeline for when we have to use that funding. And there were still plenty.
There are no specific dates that we have to,
Okay.
there's no specific deadline, but we do have to show progress that we're moving forward with the project. So we have to submit regular progress reports to DCNR. And I think the meeting tomorrow will kind of check a lot of boxes there.
Yeah, right, and if they have certain formats or anything that we need to provide them. The certificate of title, do we have ones yet for the Elmwood?
Yes.
Oh,
we have
Okay, good. I just wondered if that,
Yeah.
sometimes titles take a while.
Yeah.
Okay, are there any other questions about this and the leadership changes and its impact on our timeline? Sounds like there could be there will be most likely some type of a delay.
Right.
But after the meeting tomorrow, we can send out an email that to the group that just gives us a better sense of what we're looking at and what DCNR is expecting.
Yeah, and I think as much as we can do, the committee,
Yeah.
to move it forward, we'll do it 100%. So that at least that part of it won't be delayed.
There's nothing more for really for the committee to do. So I guess maybe after the meeting tomorrow, you can let us know. I mean, will a meeting be needed in December?
Right.
I don't know.
Exactly.
Well, I'll follow up with the solicitor about the other documentation, and at some point I will have to reach out to the staff to figure out when we can work in the budget and
Right.
timeline.
Is there anything else that any of us can do to help the process, or?
You may hear tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll know more tomorrow.
Okay.
We've got you in the headlights.
I may be going on.
That would be fun.
So the next update is about the new organization fungi, the Friends of Narberth Greens Initiative. And some of us went to, they had a meeting at the new Elmwood site on Sunday, and some of their representatives were there. The last month I had emailed Michael and Jean because I was confused about what, they don't want to be called fungi, by the way. what the Friends does versus what we do. And I thought the explanation was really good. And I don't want to put you on the spot again, but if you could talk through how the borough is looking at the roles that these two organizations play, I think that would be helpful for everyone.
Yeah, so the Friends of Narberth Green Initiatives is basically, it would be a funding source that is not set up as a nonprofit to be able to receive donations. And I'm going to actually read their organizational purpose because I don't want to get this wrong. So this is from the board. Their organizational purpose is to improve the lives of the citizens, businesses, and visitors of Narberth Borough by preserving, stewarding, maintaining, and revitalizing green open spaces throughout the borough, promoting and supporting green energy households, supporting acquisition, development, and maintenance of new green open spaces within the borough, fostering healthy public spaces and public works projects within the borough, engaging diverse communities, promoting community and economic development, and performing related municipal purposes that advance or support open space and green energy initiatives within Narberth Borough. And they've applied for tax exempt status as a 509A1 charity. So that would exist for public benefit and primarily supported by the public, either by the government or the general public. So that's the technical purpose of the organization. But basically it serves as a vehicle that the borough can now receive donations, and it has its own board. Has 5 members, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Donations from the public if they want. to
Right,
do it.
Yes, so your end of the year giving, keep in mind.
That's it.
And I believe that,
Do they have a website?
not yet.
Okay, I didn't. Actually, maybe add some.
Yeah,
It's very complimentary in terms of what the Parks and Rec Committee certainly does, and at least in the what this short-term committee does in terms of thinking through what the future of these parks are going to look like, and, you know, what types of activities we want. And, we have talked to the, Lee and Bob, who are the chair and vice chair, I guess, of the Friends Committee, and have invited them to come to our meetings, to be as involved as they want to be. Much like we did with the folks that worked on Center Square, whatever we call it now. So, I sent them an invitation today, but I recognize that might have been a little too soon, so I will make sure that I give them more fair warning about when this meeting will take place. I think it's important that they be here and that they be involved, particularly as we look at, once we actually have a consultant and we're actually doing the outreach to the community, that they're involved in that as well, because their fundraising efforts could align so nicely with whatever comes from what we learn in that engagement with the community. So it seems all very positive. And we will have to get that website and place to provide, to give money. Michael, you were at the Sunday meeting. Do you have anything you want to share about it, or any conversations you've had with them?
No, I mean, I thought it was a really well attended event. And there was a lot of enthusiasm about that entity, and I think just the parks planning in general.
Yeah. Anything else that we need to talk about with that? This is, I think, going to be a very short meeting, because I think the next, the review of the scope of work and the review of the RFP, that is really tied to, oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking, yeah, the update on the RFP and timing, that's really tied to tomorrow and the meeting with the funding source. So we don't really have anything to say about that at this point. Is there anything else that we need to talk about with this meeting tonight? Sorry to have brought you all here for what looks to be a 15-minute meeting.
Sure.
Yes, thankfully we all live in Narberth and it's a nice evening.
Are you taking public comment tonight?
Oh, I didn't know that. Yes, please.
All right, I have a question. It's Carol Marie Scanlon. So is there a certificate of title for Narberth Park and Sabine Park?
yeah, there should be.
And where is that available to be viewed?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Is it in the office?
Most likely, I mean, I just talked to our solicitor, and I know that we have it all available.
All right. And how would the public be able to see what the title is for both of those other parks?
Again, I don't really know the answer to that question, but you can reach out to Alan probably.
Yeah,
Okay.
perhaps that's better answered by the staff in the borough.
Okay, I will do that. My next question is there money in the budget to implement the master parks plan? Because that's one thing Ken was very worried about, or it seemed to be very concerned that there was not money in the budget, given all the other obligations that the borough has. And that's a concern is, you know, I think he said something to the effect of you can have a great park plan, but there's no money to implement it.
I would think part of our job working with the consultants will be to look at it may be a phased approach, the direction that they're going to be given from the borough council and from the committee will help hopefully focus it in a way that at least we can implement over time, all the pieces and have a broader view, longer term of what we want to see in the parks in Narberth. I didn't mean to take over,
That's a
but
good answer. I mean, basically the RFP has been designed to
yeah.
make sure that that's part of what they offer in terms of a funding strategy for the parks.
That's a
So-
very important part of the RFP. And also, the money is there for the consultant, depending on what the consultant comes back with and says the money they need to do it. So
Yeah.
that front end is taken care of. I think what you're talking about is the longer, and that's a much longer view.
I also want to just add, I think there might be a little misunderstanding, because he was expressing concern about expanding beyond the RFP to include the building on, say, at Sabine Park, the old Narberth School. So he said there, you know, the cost to remove that building would be so exorbitant that, you know, that's something that we couldn't tackle in this project. That's why I think the smaller portion of that property is allocated to this project. If that's something that the public comments on and wants to expand that might be difficult to fit into the budget. I do believe
That's a separate project.
right,
Yeah.
right, but that.
Right,
that-
well, part of the RFP, the RFP has had different things that have, I guess, evolved or changed, because at one point it was the whole property, and then it was just, the RFP, as I read it, was just the half-acre park and taking back part of the parking lot that was paved, that should still be park. Is that correct?
So we will be meeting with ECNR tomorrow to kind of figure out how we can build in flexibility into that RFP, because we don't really know what the configuration is going to be yet.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. You didn't know
We don't know yet what the configuration will be.
the
Because we
configure, did you say, I'm sorry, configuration?
Of Sabine, what
Sabine.
Sabine Park will end up looking like. I mean.
Right.
That's still up in the air, so part of the discussion with the funding, the funders will be in the RFP, how should that be presented? And can we have options about what we could do at Sabine? Because we just don't know yet, right?
So the building is perhaps part of the project, or is it just the park? Because as I read the RFP, it says just the half-acre park.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's just the park.
Yeah, last week it was, I think it was made pretty clear. We went over it. It's just the park and maybe a little bit of the parking lot,
Right.
but that's it. It's not the buildings or any of that.
So the building will be preserved.
Well,
In its current state.
I'm sorry.
In this conversation, so we are just talking about the park. And is development of buildings on that park part of the conversation?
No.
Or is
is-
it just, okay,
It's just the existing open space. And then Carol Marie, as far as this process, we're looking at nearly a year of planning and engagement with the community. So it wouldn't be until the following budget cycle anyway, and we don't even know what, you know, when the plan comes together, we don't know what the estimated costs are for those things. So it's premature at this time to even speculate on budgeting for it. We don't even know what the plan is going to, the final vision that the community and the committee come up with is.
right. I just wanted to kind of get a feel for understanding that the RFP is for the half-acre park and a portion of the parking lot, not the entire 3.5 acres.
Not 3.5 acres. That
I
is
mean,
correct.
we have not taken that off the table yet. So council is, if we're talking about 201 Sabine, we have not decided whether it's going to be the entire park or whether it's going to be part of the park. So it could be anywhere from a half-acre park to, which is what it is now, which is highly unlikely because I think we're down to two options, which is option 4, which pretty much triples the size of Sabine Park. And then the other option, which is expanding the park to the entire lot, which would be financially difficult, but that's also an option. And either way, it would expand the size of the park.
So correct me if I'm wrong. We're focused on what we have now, but there's the potential to do more,
Right.
which is a positive thing, Carol Marie.
Right.
So just know that what is there now is what we're going to focus on, but there might be an opportunity to expand the footprint of the park.
Which
That
is a
makes-
good thing, because we're concerned about development on the park site. Because that's been, tossed back and forth of putting development, whether it's housing, a new daycare center, commercial on the park site. And is that part of the RFP, or is the RFP keeping the half-acre park a park? That
The RFP
triangle of the park?
The open space.
Yes.
It's for whether that open space is the same size or bigger in the future.
But when we talk about open space, just by that, we're not talking about putting a daycare center or anything on the open space.
Right.
So it's either gonna be the half acre that exists now, or be a little larger, but regardless, it's going to be park land, not an office and daycare center land.
And Jean, you said the configuration could change. Yeah, the
Yes.
configuration could
Right,
change,
it
but
could get
the
bigger.
same amount of space or more is what.
So at minimum, we've got what we've got today.
Right.
All right, as I said, we're concerned about where the park is being a building and then moving the park somewhere else, but we want to know that this master park plan is taking care of the triangle of the park that's there now without putting any development or building on it.
That's not part of what our study is. That's, I think, this committee, it seems to me, all we can say is we are to study
Open space.
open space, and it includes under the RFP, the existing park on Sabine and a bit more. But
Excellent.
that's what this committee is charged with doing, at least under the plans and what we've tried to get the funding from the Commonwealth. To the extent that your concerns might be to make it more expansive or beyond what our charge is, that seems to me to be something to be addressed with council, and that's something we can address here.
Well, we are happy to hear that the park is what's being studied, and is being studied as a park, not as a potential building site for the borough and the park to go somewhere else.
Yeah, that's a separate project.
Yeah, this is truly just focused on parks, open spaces.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Anything else that we wanna talk about? Anything you wanna add? Just happy to be here. Alrighty, it's 7:25 and we are adjourning. Whether we have a December meeting or not, we will be in touch with you shortly about that. And thank you for coming. Thank you.
Move.
Yeah.
That's right. Move to adjourn.
Second.
Hi. This is asking if I want to start the Parks and Rec meeting.
No,
That's
no,
it.
we'll log that in. So you could just stop the meeting.
Use that one. All right, thanks all.